you can't tell because it's an inner struggle. It's a battle inside your head that nobody knows about. Hi, my name's Emily. I'm 18 years old and I was born in Clearwater, Florida. Growing up, I had a pretty good childhood. My mom was always there for me. My parents were together. We were like showered with unconditional love, and like it was a really good aura and environment to be around. I have an older brother. He's 5 years older than me and we've always been really close. We didn't really fight much like most siblings do, but he still drives me crazy. I always knew that there was something about me that was different than everybody else, and I never put a name to it because I was always too afraid to reach out to somebody and tell them that I felt like there was something else about me that was different. When I was like 8 months old, my mom, she put me in pageants and I was in them most of my whole life. I stopped when I was like 14 years old, like freshman year of high school. And I genuinely liked them when I was little. It was like a great opportunity to go on stage and be myself and dress how I wanted to. As I got older, it just kind of turned into something that I picked myself apart over. I was taking what the judges were telling me, completely like shaping who I thought I should be from what they were telling me, when that's not the case. I think I first realized I had OCD when I would be in class in like first or second grade, and we would do these like, you would just take 30 minutes to yourself and write a story about whatever you wanted, and we had to use blue or black ink, and to me that was like the hardest thing to pick from. Like if I had to choose from two things, yeah, I just couldn't. So I would literally end up using both. I would go over letters like over and over and over again, and like everybody would be done and I wouldn't be, and I just didn't understand why like everybody else was done before me. Like, why am I struggling and everyone else isn't? Some things that were more difficult for me than other kids were just everyday normal things that you would never expect. Like I would have such a hard time picking out what to wear in the morning, because if something bad happened previously in a shirt I was wearing, no matter how far ago it was, I would not wear it to school because I had this grudge over me that I thought something would happen. And when I would spend the night at my friends' houses, you know, they didn't care what they wore. We were like 7 years old, nobody else did. And my mom would take it as, you know, she's just picky about what she wears. She's just a fashionista. She loves her clothes. But in reality, I had no idea. There's certain like rituals or things that come along with OCD. You have an anxious thought, and following that, in order to get rid of that anxious thought, you have to touch something a certain amount of times, or look at something a certain amount of times, or count your steps over and over and over again until it feels right. It's never actually right, but it feels right. You know, scratch my hands like three to four times, like over and over and over again, and before I realize it, my hand's bleeding. Or I bite my lip and then my lip starts bleeding. It's like I'm not aware of it until afterwards, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this got really far and like out of hand. Like once I look at myself and I'm like, this is crazy, is when I can realize what to do to grow from it and what an impact it really has on my life. That's the biggest thing about OCD, is that it's so different than what everybody thinks. On Facebook, I see tests to quiz if you're OCD, and it's just spotting the difference in like a crowd of people. If you can spot this difference, then that means you're OCD, but that's not true, and there's just a lot of misconceptions. But I think you that are really like stretched are that you have to have your binders in order at school, or if your room is a mess, then you're not OCD. But if your room is like intact and you have to have things clean, then that means you have OCD. But that's not true. It just means that you have a clean room. But OCD goes so much deeper than that. It's so much more of a struggle, and it's a lot harder to deal with than people think. I cope in a few different ways. Like, I started seeing a psychologist, and that helped me out because I talk with her and we figure out things that work for me personally. That's like the number one thing I think anybody can do, is just make sure you go and seek help, because they know what is best for you. They can help you. And a few other ways that I cope would be simple things like friends, surrounding myself with people who love me and who I can tell about it and they'll be here for me. Art is a big thing. I paint and I draw a lot, and everything I'm feeling just comes out through that. A few things that I want people to know about it is that it's not what you think. It's not what everybody makes it seem like. It's not a cute little thing to have. It's not a trend. It's something that people struggle with, and some people can't leave their house over. Some people can't get up in the morning, and it takes a big toll on your life. It can be completely unnoticeable. Like, I've had it my whole life, and I think maybe my closest friends and family are the only people that know. And like, you can't tell, because it's an inner struggle. It's a battle inside your head that nobody knows about. That if you're struggling with OCD and you feel that like you are alone, you're not alone. There are so many people, and there are so many different forms of OCD, and I thought personally that I had something else. It had to be something worse, because I didn't have the textbook definition of OCD. I didn't wash my hands a million times until they bled, like I read all over online when I was trying to teach myself about it. There are so many different kinds, and so many different people, so many different personalities, and it just doesn't, no matter what you're feeling, your feelings are valid. And just make sure that you go and you tell somebody and you seek that help if you think that you need it.